disappointing result for the All Whites once again against Australia, and I think that's sort of what we expected, even though some of us like me went in with a bit of an optimism, maybe a 1-1 draw is what I was hoping for. I did, however, get sort of the goal correct. I did think it would come from a De Vries delivery into Chris Wood. That's sort of what you expect from Chris Wood, but also De Vries, who was brilliant at doing that last year for Auckland FC. So no real surprise at sort of how the goal did come, but we weren't really good enough without that sort of goal. I thought at points we threatened into the first sort of 30 minutes and we were applying a pressure, but it just sort of felt like in this game we needed that goal because Australia have the ability to hit you on the break with real pace, and eventually that's how the goal started coming. Irakunda started to get some space, Torre started to get more space, and they just started to sort of rip through us. And I sort of put this on a couple of issues with New Zealand. First of all, I don't think it was smart putting up Tim Payne and sort of De Vries so high. Tim Payne's a decent fullback going forward. De Vries is a really good fullback going forward, so I don't have a problem with that. But I feel like we may need to keep Tim Payne back a bit more at points, and maybe that's something the All Whites can learn, especially against a winger like Irakunda. I get it, they were chasing the game because they were 1-0 down after the first leg, but they still could have thought about that, I think, just a bit more, because Tim Payne was always just going to get rinsed by Irakunda, and that's what continued to happen. And another defender who I really didn't expect to have such a poor game was Tyler Bindon. For a defender that's actually playing currently in the Championship, you would expect so much better, and he is actually a top Championship centre-half at Sheffield United. He's brilliant, Tyler Bindon. Like, he's a very good player, and for him to be playing that badly against a team like Australia is really not good. I think he was almost at fault for all 3 goals, and he was part of the poor performance, that is for sure. And I think they may be better off subbing him off at that point, and I think it was a really disappointing display from Tyler Bindon. Where can the All Whites take some positive from these sort of 2 games? I think we've sort of it's threatened more than we've sort of ever have against Australia. We've only come away from 1 goal in these 2 games, but that's 1 goal more than we usually do. And I actually think we've proved that we do have some ways of attacking. Obviously, one of the main ways clearly is De Vries into Wood, and as soon as Chris Wood went off, we looked like a decent side without much threat. And another shout out to a player who I thought was brilliant for the All Whites, and that was Sarpreet Singh. In the first half, Sarpreet Singh was definitely the All Whites' best player for sure. And I thought there's an argument he was the best player on the pitch, really. Sarpreet Singh was sort of controlling the game, moving the ball away around, and I felt like with Sarpreet Singh there was always a chance we could get that goal. Eventually came, but then we just sort of conceded immediately after, and poor defending really cost us tonight. You can't concede 3 goals to win it. A game. The only way we were really going to win tonight was probably 1-0, maybe a 2-1 if we could wait to find 2 goals. But anyway, that's the game. Australia did deserve to win, and they showed that they still have a lot more quality than the All Whites, and there's definitely things that the All Whites can do to improve.